I'm a little confused what you're asking.
So you're putting 2 in for x and in for x. 2 squared minus 3 times 2.
Oh, okay.
And then simplifying using order of operations.
Equals -2.
Yes. Okay. So the idea here, and this is key, is you're substituting in for x, but you really want to treat x like it's in parentheses. Like you want to treat this way, even if you don't do it forever, do it this way for now. It really will help. Okay, so let me have you try a little bit more difficult one. What is f of -1?
Equals 1.
So it's -1 squared minus 3 times -1. -1 squared is 1. Minus 3 times -1 or 3. It depends how you look at this, but this ends up being +3.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm not sure. I think maybe you know the sign error here or something. Maybe you had this as -1. I'm not sure, but very important that you be able to get this. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do one more. So let's have you find f of -2. F of -2.
Equals 2.
Take a look here. So -2 squared is 4. What is -3 times -2?
6.
+6, yeah. So if you treat this as -3, it becomes +6. If you treat it as 3 times -2, it becomes -6, but then you have that minus in front, and that double negative becomes a plus. So it really depends on how you see it. that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's try a new function. Let's say the function here is 3 minus x squared. Try finding f of 4 for me, please.
$13.
All right, so it's 3 minus 4 squared. So if you didn't write it this way, again, it's always good to visualize just the variable as being in parentheses. So this is, you're not squaring -4, you're just squaring the 4. What is 4 squared?
16.
Okay, so 3 minus 16 is
13.
negative
Negative
13.
15.
Yes. And it's important, right? It's really important to differentiate between the signs there. All right. All right, so let's do the same f of x. If you're not doing the parentheses thing, like I'm showing you, you will eventually have problems here. So just, that's my recommendation. Try f of -3 for me, please.
It equals -6.
Okay, so 3 minus -3 squared is 3 minus 9, which is -6. Good, very good. Okay. All right, let me throw a few more at you here. Let's say f of x is 1 minus 3x minus 2x squared. I want you to find f of 1 and f of -1, please.
F of 1 equals 1. F of -1 equals 3.
So let me just slide those off to the side here. So there's a couple of things to remember with 1 and -1. They're kind of special. With one, it's always just the coefficient. So it ends up being 1 minus 3 minus 2, which is, it's not 1. 1 minus 3 is -2, -2 minus 2 is -4. Where do you see your mistake or your difference between me? I hate saying mistake, but just do you see your difference between me? Yes, no, maybe.
No. No, I do not see it.
Okay. Well, that's one of the challenges of this format is I can't look at your paper. I can only show you, 3 times 1 is 3, 1 squared is 1, 2 times 1 is 2. But whenever it's 1, it's just the coefficients, 1 minus 3 minus 2, like that. Now for -1, it's a little bit different. It depends on whether it's an even or an odd power. So -1 to an even power is always 1, -1 to an odd power is always -1. So that it kind of affects the signs here. So this ends up being 1 plus 3 minus 2, which ends up being 4 minus 2 or 2. Okay, do you need a break? I mean, are you feeling okay? What we're doing?
I'm good. Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's try another one here. Let's try f of x equals 5x to the 7th minus 3x cubed minus x squared. And again, f of 1 and f of -1.
F of 1 equals 7. F of -1 equals -4.
Take a look here. So 5 times 1 to the 7th minus 3 times 1 cubed minus 1 squared ends up being 5 minus 3 minus 1. So we're different. We're different somewhere here. Like 1 to any power is always 1. So we're different here. I guess you've got to tell me what's different about what you have versus I have.
What I got was 5 minus -3 minus 1.
Okay. Okay. So keep in mind here, like 1 to any power is 1. So that like that negative still stays on front. It's 3 times 1. Maybe I'm not. So this is 5 times 1 minus 3 times 1 minus 1. And then you always multiply before you add or subtract. So it's 5 times 1 is 5 minus 3 minus 1. And then you just do it in the order. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now for -1, I mean, it's the same setup. It's -1 to the power of 7 minus 3 times -1 to the power of 3 minus a -1 squared.
Okay.
So we've got -1 to the 7th, because it's -1 to an odd power, it's -1. -1 to the 3rd is -1. -1 squared, because it's an even power, becomes just 1. So now this becomes 5 times -1, which is -5. And then you got to decide here, you're going to treat this as -3 times -1 or 3 times -1 with a subtraction out front. It doesn't matter. You just have to decide which one you want to do. You know, that like the more math you do, the more choices you get.
Okay.
So like I look at it as -3 times -1, that's +3. But if you prefer 3 times -1, that's -3. With the negatives make a positive, like that. And so you have -5 plus 3, that's -2, -1 is -3. So we're trying to emphasize like 2 things here, and I don't know if you need to get this down, but I can scroll up if you want. But 1 to any power is always 1. -1 to an even power is always 1. -1 to an odd power is always -1. But that does not take into account like what's going on in front of it. So it's just that part. And it's like this is what I'm trying to get you to kind of like get down, memorize, so on. The other one here is that any number to the power of 0 is always 1. That's kind of related, but we're not doing any of those right now.
Okay, yeah.
So I want to keep doing some problems here until you kind of get this down. If you need a short break, that's fine. I just need you to, whatever it's gonna take to get you to dial this in. So we can move on to some new stuff. Yeah, related stuff like this. So let's try another one here. Let's try f of x equals 3x squared minus 5x to the fourth. And I want you to find f of 1 and f of -1, please.
They both equal -2.
They do, yeah. It's one of those things with the even exponents, you get some symmetry. So this is 3 times 1 minus 5 times 1, which is 3 minus 5, which equals -2. 3 times -1 squared minus 5 times -1 to the fourth is 3 times 1 minus 5 times 1, which is 3 minus 5, which is -2. So really good. My perception was maybe thrown in like, 3 terms somehow was like adding too much complexity, but you did really well in these. So like where we're going with this is, and it's kind of related, is if I write something like this, like 2x minus 3y plus 7, and I put this in parentheses, okay, and I put a negative on the outside, the distributive property says that this negative goes to everything. Goes to the first term, the second term, and the third term. And it effectively changes the sign. So currently, like, do you agree that the 2x is positive or not?
Yes.
It's positive, but nothing's written there, but it is positive. So it becomes minus 2x. The 3y is negative, so it becomes positive 3y. And the 7 is positive, so it becomes negative. Like that.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever you have a negative on the outside, it changes the signs of everything on the inside. The one for you to try, let's say it's a negative 4x minus 5y plus 1. And there's a negative out in front. What does that become?
Positive 4x plus 5y minus 1.
Very good. So you can see that it effectively changes the signs of everything on the inside. So this is all of this is to lead into what we were doing last time, which is we were substituting in for y. So let me show you that now. A couple more of these. It might be duplicates of what we were doing last time, but now maybe it'll make more sense. So we were solving these systems of equations last time, and one of the variables is already solved for. See how it's already solved for y in the first equation? Y equals minus 4x plus 7. On the bottom one, you really treat the y like it's in parentheses. So this thing right here goes down inside parentheses, minus 5x minus 4x plus 7 equals negative 11. So now this is just like we were talking about. What do we do with this negative on the outside? Well, we distribute it in, and it changes the signs. Changes the signs there. So it becomes minus 5x plus 4x minus 7. Please give me some feedback, like whether good, bad, indifferent.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, that's good. Now to solve this, you combine like terms. So minus 5x plus 4x is minus 1x, minus 7 equals minus 11. Add 7 to both sides. So you have minus 1x equals minus 4. And then you divide by negative 1. So x equals 4, like that.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so if that made sense, I want you to try this one here. And I can scroll up if you need to write that down, or if you think you got it, that's fine too. This is exactly the same problem, different numbers, same setup as the one I just did.
X equals -1.
X equals -1. Let's take a look here. 7x minus 5x minus 3 equals -9. So we're taking that second part, putting it in for y in parentheses, distribute for sign, so it becomes 12x plus 3 equals -9. Sorry, 5x already added those together. It's an interesting slip there. Okay, so yeah, you subtract 3 from both sides, you get 12x equals -12 and x equals -1. Good. Now the next part is you take that x value and you have to pick which equation you're going to use. Okay, so you pick the one where you're trying to solve for y, so better to do this one. So you're going to put that in for x, and again, you should treat it like it's in parentheses. So it's -5 times -1 minus 3. It's really good practice to put everything in parentheses and when you're working things out.
Two.
So x equals -1 and y equals 2, like that. Very good. Okay, let me give you one to try fully on your own here. You want to find both x and y. So it's the same thing as before.
X equals 1 and y equals 7.
But the great thing about having you do it like this is the way I check is I put the numbers back into both equations and see if it works. So -2 times 1 is -2 minus 7. Unfortunately, that is -9, which does not equal -5. So there's some issue there. Do you want to look over your work one more time? Sometimes it's a sign error. Sometimes you just got to rework it from the beginning. let me know here. I'm going to jump in a minute if you're not able to find your mistake.
Is it 5 equal x equals 5?
Okay, let's try it. So it's -2 times 5 minus 7. Does that equal 5? Unfortunately, -10 minus 7 does not equal 5. So let me work this out here. So it's minus 2x minus parentheses minus 3x plus 10 equals -5. So when you distribute the negative in here, when you distribute the negative in here, it's positive 3x minus 10. Now this negative, by the way, it goes away. Like when you distribute it, maybe I didn't make that clear. It does go away completely. So this becomes just x minus 10 equals -5. Add 10 to both sides. X does equal 5. That's correct. To get y, then you always go back to the other equation there. So to get y, let's use that second one. -3 times 5 plus 10 is -15 plus 10, which is -5, like that. Any questions on that?
No, I saw where it went wrong. It was the division part, the last for x.
It's so easy to make just a small little mistake that propagates through the whole problem. And you know, it's just the more practice you do, the more you'll get it. So, but we got another opportunity on